Thank you very much. We'd like to thank the members of the press and all of our friends that are here joining us today for a very important list of endorsements that we want to announce. Members of the California State Assembly, what I call the legislative dream team that is leading not only California, but leading the way for other parts of the country in areas like combating global warming, improving the quality of life for people in our state, making sure that we reduce the cost of prescription drugs, fighting for new health care, fighting to improve our public education system, raising the minimum wage. All of these things sound very familiar to none other than Senator Hillary Clinton for one reason and one reason only. And that is that these are the principles that have embodied Senator Clinton's entire life, because she has fought for change her entire life. Senator Clinton, beginning even before President Bill Clinton was elected governor of Arkansas, Senator Hillary Clinton was involved in the toughest domestic and foreign policy issues of the 8 years, those 8 golden years of that wonderful Clinton presidency that we long to return once again to the White House. Many people said, well, can she stand on her own 2 feet? Does she need President Clinton by her side? She likes President Clinton by her side. And with that, it is my honor, it is my privilege, as a kid that grew up about 15 blocks away from here in a very poor neighborhood called Logan Heights, to think that 30 years later, I would be standing here introducing the next President of the United States of America. Tells you that the hope and promise of this country needs to continue to move forward, and no one is going to deliver it better than the next President of this country, Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton. Senator
Delighted and honored to have the Speaker's strong endorsement and to have these members of the Assembly joining my team here in California. We're putting together a very strong group of leaders in California, because I do believe that California has such an incredible amount to offer the rest of the country. When I travel around and talk about energy independence, I sometimes get quizzical looks from people in other states. And I'm always proud to tell them what the California legislature has done under the Speaker's leadership to make such a difference. And how, when everybody else back in the 1970s gave up on energy efficiency and conservation, California kept going forward, so that today you can say that California's electricity use on a per capita basis has stayed flat for 30 years, and it's gone up by 50%. So that I try to reassure people in the rest of America that you can actually do this, because California has done it for free. So I'm thrilled to be here in California for this convention, to be carrying my campaign throughout the country, to know that California is going to play a critical role in nominating the next President of the United States. And I intend to do everything I can to make sure that that person is me. And with the help here, we're going to get it done. So I'd be glad to answer any of your questions. I'm sure the Speaker would as well. Yes.
Can you talk about the money grab that's necessary to run for president and its effect on the democratic process?
I sure can. I am in favor of public financing, and when I'm president, I'm going to see whether there is any way within our constitutional limits, which the Supreme Court has set, saying that political money is equivalent to speech, whether there is a way legislatively we could move toward public financing. If not, we may have to look at a constitutional amendment.
Yeah, thank you. Senator, dissuade us of the notion that you are the candidate of the Democratic Party establishment, and that Senator Obama is the candidate of the Democratic Party insurgency. There are many in the hall there today who say they're torn between their head and their heart, and their heart is with Senator Obama.
Well, we have great candidates running. That's what the Speaker said, and I second it wholeheartedly. I am thrilled and honored to be running with the team that is contesting for this nomination. Each voter makes his or her own decision, and obviously I'm presenting my experience, my qualifications, my vision and ideas about what I would do as president. the fact that I think I have a very clear-eyed view of what it's going to take, starting day one, to turn this country around. And I'm going to be asking people to support me on the basis of who I am as a whole person, head, heart, and everything else. And, you know, I'm very excited that this is going to be a campaign where we can talk positively about the issues, where we can, you know, have, you know, debates like we had Thursday night in South Carolina, where we can present alternatives. Because what we are going to do in this campaign is begin to persuade the country, just as they did in November '06, to take a chance again on Democrats running the Congress.
Senator, in the back over there.
Senator, there may be a ballot proposition on getting the U.S. out of Iraq on the California ballot at the same time that the presidential primary occurs. Have you taken a position on that, and do you have anything to say about it?
Well, that's what we're trying to do right now. You know, we're trying to get the United States out of Iraq. We passed a very strong measure last week in both the House and the Senate. It's on its way to the President. It does continue to fund our troops so that we cannot, you know, in any way be charged with avoiding our responsibility to keep our troops as well equipped and safe as possible. But it says a couple of other things, which I have been advocating. I introduced legislation a few months ago which said, if the President is persisting in this policy to send people into Iraq, he cannot send anyone unless that person is properly equipped and trained and fully mission capable. And I was very...
Senator, as a national co-chair of your campaign, I see we got to cut this off, Senator. I think the staff is calling. Do we have time for one more question? One more question.
Senator, I'm wondering if we could ask you about how California's earlier primary has changed your thinking about the issue.
Well, I don't think it's changed my thinking about the issues. I have followed what's been going on here in California with great interest and with some sense of relief that at least part of our country was moving in the right direction on energy and health and some of the issues that I care deeply about. It has obviously added to the mix in an extraordinary way. You know, we've never had a primary process like this. We're all trying to figure out how to manage the resources, the time, the organizational challenges. But I'm excited that California is moving up like it has decided to do, because we're going to have the early states with a lot of intense retail politicking, which is also good for the process. You know, that very, you know, person-to-person, one-on-one effort. And then we're going to move to the bigger states. You know, my state of New York has moved up. California obviously moved up. Way more than half the population of America will have voted by February 5th. I think that will give us a very strong base on which to go into the general election. Now, it puts an enormous burden on me and my campaign. You know, obviously, you know, we have to cover a lot more ground, raise a lot more money to be able to compete in all of these states. But at the end of the day, I think we are extremely well positioned then to get into the general election. Because look at what's happening on the other side. They are basically taking positions diametrically opposed to us. You know, one of the leading candidates has called universal health care socialized medicine within the last several days. You know, they're acting as though Democrats are not patriots who won't defend the country. I welcome that debate. I am looking forward to it, because I think their time is past. They have tried to govern on the basis of fear-mongering, and they are not going to be able to pull that off again. People have learned from the experience of the Bush administration and the Republican Congress what the differences are. We don't have to look too far back in history to see both Republicans and Democrats who led with a much better sense of what's important in America. And they understood we had to lay the groundwork for the future. And that's what we're going to do in the general election. We got to get there first, and I'm glad that California is going to help make that possible.
Has California's
Thank
earlier
you all.
primary prompted you to